Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, July 18th. Welcome to this month's issue of Talk to Our Expert series. Today, we're going to talk about the Merlin MX basic user interface that we're working on and give you an update on where that is and what we've been doing with it. Just the guidelines as usual. We're going to make this short and sweet. It'll be about 30 minutes or less. I am recording the session, so it will be available on our YouTube channel. It's a short presentation. Please feel free to ask your questions in the chat window as always, and they do not need to be related to today's topic. And as always, we appreciate suggestions for future topics as well. So Merlin MX Basic, it's a new user interface that we're working on, and it's not designed to replace the current UI, it's designed to supplement it. And its purpose is to help users that are on the go. So think about users that are working on mobile devices like phones and tablets, or for people that just want to get in and get out quickly using the desktop application with a minimum of fuss. That's who the Merlin Basic UI is designed for. It's the essential set of tools. It will allow users to quickly upload content, find what they're looking for, and then use that content. So that describes the purpose of this UI. How do you access the new UI? Well, it can be based on an assigned user group. So once the new user interface, MX Basic, has been installed on your system, you can either get to it by way of your normal account. It's a permission that will be assigned to you so that when you log in, it's your default UI. Or for some users, you'll be able to access it directly from the current Merlin UI. So you'll just say that you'd like to use MX Basic, and it will flip the UI for you. By the way, it is the default UI if you're working from a mobile device because it is touch enabled, right? So it allows you to pretty much do everything with your fingertip. So what does it do? Well, right now it's going to allow you to upload, especially from the field. It will allow you to review your content. You'll be able to run searches on it and look at your content. You'll be able to edit metadata. You'll be able to download content. And it could also be used, as I mentioned, as a desktop UI for busy marketers. We think it's a really intuitive interface, and even though we think the Merlin MX UI is pretty easy to use, this is even easier. So the development process, I just want to talk to you about it a little bit on what we're working on. We're using what we're calling a sprint development process so that we can get it out to you quickly and we can update it quickly based on feedback. So we really hope to shorten the development cycle. We have an initial set of test users and reviewers who are going to be using the new UI, and we're going to take the feedback they provide to us and we're going to use that to determine what new features should be incorporated in it. And then once we've incorporated that new set of features, we'll employ an even larger group of users to further test it and give us their feedback on it so we can incorporate those changes as well. So that's what we're currently working on. And we actually expect to have this new UI in the hands of the first set of test users in the next week or so. So we're going to take a look, and these are the things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about progressive reveal. We're going to talk about uploading content with metadata. We're going to talk about searching and reviewing content. We're going to talk about using collections and how to download content. Those are the main pieces of functionality. They're built into the MX Basic UI, and those are the things we're going to talk about. So I'm going to close out of my presentation here. And let's see if we're going to close this, and we're going to close this, and we're going to go to the new UI, and I'm going to pause just for a second and look to see if there are any questions so far. And I don't see any, so that's great. Feel free to ask your questions in the webinar UI, and I will do my best to answer them. Oh, I see someone asking, is there any possibility that this can become an app in the future? Phil, that's a great question. I know that's something we're evaluating. For the time being, it's still going to be browser-based, but we're always evaluating what our customers are looking for, and we would love to know, why, your logic, why you think it would be good as an app, and that would be useful for us to know. So, but it is something we're looking at. I just don't have a definitive answer for you yet. So, we're looking at the new Merlin MX Basic UI, and when you log in, this is the screen that you should see. And notice my thumbnails are square. This is similar to the presentation that I see of content on my iPhone when I look at the photo library in my iPhone. When I said it was progressive reveal, things show up as you use the system. So for example, as I roll over content, additional information shows up and some additional tools show up. So for example, if I click the I button that appears under every single or with every single item as I roll over, it's going to take me to the single view of that item. The metadata popped out briefly just to let you know it's there, and you can bring it back by clicking the reveal button in the upper right hand corner. And here's the metadata that I've chosen to reveal to go with this as I go through my content. Now, if I were to remove all of my filters, and that's what these are called, my metadata filters, if I remove my metadata filters, the other metadata fields reveal themselves. So I can look at all of the metadata that I'm entitled to see, and you can see there's a lot of it that I'm entitled to see because I'm an admin user, but I can narrow that down again by typing in the fields I'm interested in. So if I'm interested in the byline field, I can type in byline. I don't even have to finish it, right, and put a comma. And if I'm interested in the description, I can type in description, and it's going to reveal the description for me. And if I'm interested in other information, like maybe the approval status or the country field, I can do that as well just by starting to type. And it will finish and it will only show those fields for me. So again, we're only revealing the things that you want to see. Let's talk a little bit more about progressive reveal. When you scroll up to the top, I have some additional tools that reveal themselves. So for example, I have 3 different views that are available to me. So in addition to the tiled arrangement, which is what I'm looking at right now, and this is the most densely populated display, so I can get more stuff on my screen when I'm looking at the tile arrangement than pretty much anything else. But I can also take a look at my mosaic arrangement, and I think this is my favorite because it shows me verticals as filling the frame vertically, and it shows panoramas, and it shows me the panoramic view, and I can just scroll down and down and down, and if I see content that I'm interested in, again, I can look at it by clicking on the single view button, and it's going to reveal the single view. The metadata pops up, and then the metadata usually disappears, okay? Or I can bring it back if I want to. All right, so I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to scroll back up to the top and show you some other tools that are here as well. If you always would like to have metadata displayed beneath your content or with your content, I have an info button here that I can click on, and notice that now I have the description that reveals itself, or the file name that reveals itself below each item. Okay, so that's kind of a cool thing. And again, it's there regardless of my views. I'm back to my tile view, and then I can also go to my more traditional thumbnail arrangement. Okay, and this is kind of similar to what you see in the current UI. So there's an imaginary grid here, and the content, it fills in the grid, but still shows you the aspect ratio. So I'm going to go back to my mosaic view. The other thing I can do here, and I'm going to turn off the extra info. I can, and again, it's touch enabled, so I can do this on my phone as well, is I'm able to reduce the size of my thumbnails directly from here, or increase the size of my thumbnails directly from here as well. And it applies to all of my views. Okay, so that's kind of a really cool thing. And again, it reveals itself only when you scroll your way up to the top. So that's a little bit about progressive reveal, but everything I do through here is also going to reveal additional things. So, and I'll show you that as we come to it. So the next thing I want to talk about is how do you get content into Merlin, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this aside just briefly because I've got a folder full of content that I wanted to open up. And I'm just going to move it over here so I can center this just a little bit. So I've got a folder full of content and I want to add it to Merlin. I don't have to do anything, even though you can see in the top of my toolbar, I do have a button that allows me to add content, and I can take advantage of that. But I could also just drag and drop content into the UI, and look, it's added it already to this list of content to be uploaded. And using my filter, similar to what I showed you in the metadata palette earlier, I've limited the fields that I want to see here. And if let me move this over, you can see that my creator field is required. So I'm going to come in here and add my name because it is a required field. And in the city, I'm going to type in the city. So I'm going to go ahead and populate this metadata. And I'm going to fill out the state and the country. And notice it is a type ahead pick list. And so as I start to type, it auto completes for me so I can make this United States of America. It's being a little stubborn for me, so I'll just finish auto-completing it. I think my browser is trying to be too helpful here. Here's a place to write a caption. Here is a way to add some destinations if that's part of your metadata. And now all I have to do is click send. Now, if I wanted additional metadata in here, I could just add it to my list. So, for example, if I wanted to mark content as being approved, I could do that, and I get an approval checkbox, all right? But I'm going to not mess with that right now. I'm going to click send, and in the background, it's uploading all of those photos for me. Now, if I wanted to go add some additional photos or upload some more photos, I can click the plus button. And this time it's using my Finder or Windows Explorer, if you're on a Windows computer, to go out and navigate to the destination so that you can pull in the content that way. So that's a really cool thing to be able to do. All right. So that's a little bit about uploading content and adding metadata. Let's talk about searching and reviewing content. So I always have a simple search, a quick search available to me. So for example, if I'm interested in finding content with my name in it, I can type in my last name. And just like before and always with Merlin, I can use wildcard characters and things like that. And look, here are the horse photos that we just uploaded. So I searched for my last name, and the photos that we uploaded are here. And if we wanted to take a closer look at them, I can look at them full size. And if I want to scroll through the photos in full size, I'm able to do that as well. So I'm going to just do a right mouse click and a right mouse click and a right mouse click, and I'm able to go through the photos one item at a time. Okay, so that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. I'm going to pause for a second and go back and review the questions and see if there are. So let's take a look at. Will it also change to single view with a double click? It won't, Chrissy, and part of the reason it won't do that is, remember, this is supposed to be touch enabled, and there's really no such thing as a double click on a mouse, on a tablet or a phone, and that's why we've enabled the button here. So when you roll over it, that's what's going to bring it to single view. Can I change the label as an example, change it and to the credit field? And not right now, Jan. That's an excellent suggestion and one I know we've made a note of. And so I think that's a great question. So thanks. For the thumbnail with the metadata, can we choose the metadata, i.e. the source? Kyle, similar question, and the answer is not at this time, but that is something that we will incorporate so that you can control what you're seeing with each of the pictures. Right now, of course, it's just the file name. Great suggestions, though. That's the type of thing we like to hear. It lets us know what we need to be working on. So thank you. Okay, I'm going to move my GoToMeeting control panel out of the way for a minute so I can get back on track. Talked a little bit about simple searching, and we did that by typing my name, and or I could also look for horses, right? And it's going to find any content where horses exist somewhere in the metadata, and so I've got lots of content here with horses in it. But if I wanted to do a more specific search, a more comprehensive search, I can do that. And so I can do that by clicking the search button, and look, my search panel reveals itself. Notice it's still keeping horses up here. For those of you that have been using Merlin, this should be familiar to you. I can choose to search photos or search audio and video or search text or search other types of content, which would include PDFs or graphics. And so you can choose the type of content you want to search on. Right now, my field list is not been filtered, and so I can look at all of these things. So for example, I can go to the country field and use the autocomplete feature in the country field, or I can use any of these fields that I want. And I'm going to start out by, let's use the rights field, right? Because this is a place to add rights usage information, so I can do that. I can also filter the fields like we did before. So if I'm primarily interested in searching for the byline or creator field, and I'm also interested in searching the description, I can do that as well. And so there's my description field, making it self-available. And so I can add that to my list. And I can add other things to the list as well. So if I'm interested in searching the creator field, I can just type my name in. And if I'm interested in searching the description field, I can type in what I'm interested in searching in the description. And again, it could be horses, or it could be anything else that I'm interested in searching on. And if I wanted to add a city to this, I'm going to add city to the list. And I can toggle this down and type in Dugway. And it's only going to find those wild horses from Dugway. So I've got my search ready to execute here. I'm going to click the execute or perform search button. And here are the items that we just uploaded, where the city equals Dugway and my name was in the byline field. So I'm going to pause for a second and see what other questions we've got. Nothing yet. Great. Okay, so let me keep on going. So that's a little bit about using search. Searches that you use a lot, okay, you can save them, right? And so this is a new search, but I can also go to save searches, and this should be familiar to you because you can have private searches, you can have shared searches, and Merlin will even keep track of recent searches. So for example, if I run today's photos, for example, or here, let's do this one, DB for the last 2 years. And so it's running all of my content that's been put in the last 2 years, and now that will actually show up under recent searches, okay? So this is something that's new. So I've got private, shared, and also recent searches that I've executed, and so those show up there. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about using collections, okay? So again, up in the upper left-hand corner, there's my collections icon. You can see the tooltip when I roll over it, and when I click on that, again, I have my private collections just like before, and these are the same private collections, and the same rules apply that you have in the Merlin X user interface that you're used to using. And I've got my shared collections, and again, I've got my recent collections, which is blank right now because I haven't run to look at a collection. So if you want to see Air Venture 17, here's my content from the air show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And if I go back to my collections, wrong button, sorry. If I go back to my collections and say I want to see my recent collections that I viewed, you can see it shows Air Venture 17. I'm going to go back to shared, and we can go look at featured content. Or if I want to go look at what's included in featured content, since this is a collection folder, I can click on it, and it's going to reveal my other featured content items, which it's not doing right now. So pretty straightforward. And so again, things reveal themselves as you go through it. Now, if you're interested in downloading content, it's really easy. Watch this. As I select an item, you're going to see an example of another progressive reveal. So I'm going to click this picture of this bomber, okay, from World War II, and notice another tool shows up here, or another tool area shows up. So I've got the downloads tool from here. I have an update metadata tool that's here, so I can actually update the metadata for all of these items at one time. That would have been called edit multiple in the MX UI. Some people might refer to it as batch edit. And I can also add content to a collection from here as well. And finally, if I have permission, I can remove items from Merlin. So I can actually delete content from here. So I can select multiple items. I can choose to download them. It's reminding me of the 3 items it's downloading. I click download. It's going to deliver those files to me. If I wanted to, and there they all are opening up in Photoshop. If I wanted to, I could edit the metadata of all of these items. And take a look at this. It's telling me that the metadata is consistent in some of these items. So for example, none of them has been marked as approved. None of them have a reference information filled out in it. They've all been marked as protected. But take a look at title and date created and date input. It's letting me know that there are multiple values in those fields, but it's also telling me that it's got the same creator and the same source and the same credit in all of these fields, okay? And city has multiple values. So if I wanted to, for example, normalize city, because all of these photos were made in Oshkosh, I can do that. And so I have just, by clicking update, I'm going to update the metadata for all 3 of those items and made Oshkosh the city for all of them. And if I wanted to add them to my collections, again, I can say I'd like to add them to a collection. Which collection do they belong in? I'm going to say my AirVenture 17. They're probably already in there, but we're going to add them again. Okay, and now they've been added to that collection. I see that there's some more questions coming in, so I'm going to pause and go take a look. Let's see. Will the original UI get recent searches when this UI rolls out? That's a great question, Catherine. Don't know yet. We're looking, we'll probably evaluate where some of the things that we're doing here need to be backfilled into the other UI. Don't know the answer to that, but thanks for asking the question because it lets us know that it's something that you're interested in. Does this interface allow for the use of workflows? Jeff, not initially. So initially, it's going to be strictly downloading to your local computer, but eventually, and again, as we hear feedback, we'll determine what are the most important things for us to roll in. And it sounds like one of the things that's really important for you is being able to take advantage for the workflows that show up in the workflow palette. Okay, and Jan, similar question, asking about dragging and dropping to NewsDesk. Not at this point. At this point, it's pretty much a only a download to the download destination that your browser supports. Okay, so you won't be able to drag and drop it directly to NewsDesk. Another question, will you be able to create a new collection and then upload it to it within the upload menu of this UI? Wow, that's a great question, Chrissy. Hold on to your hat. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. Let me answer the other questions. Someone missed the very beginning. When will this new UI be rolling out? So here's what's going to happen, just as a refresher. Someone missed the very beginning. It's going first to a small group of test users so they can give us some feedback to tell us what's missing. Then it's going to be rolled out to an even larger group of users so that we can get more feedback and so we can figure out what needs to be rolled in. And we're doing a sprint development process, so you're not going to have to wait months and months and months for us to roll in some of these new features, this new functionality that you're looking for. So we plan on doing some sprint development, so roughly every 3 or 4 weeks, you should see a new version of the UI, and after we get it out to the first group of users and the second group of users, then we will start deploying it to a larger user set. Okay, Chrissy, great question. Hold on to your hat. So let me show you this. I'm going to first of all clear this, okay, and I'm going to click my home button, which is going to take me back to everything, and I'm going to go to collections, right? You talked about, can I create a collection and then add content to it? And the answer is yes. So notice down here at the bottom, there's a plus button, add a new item. And so if I do it right now, it's going to add it into private. And if I go here to shared, it's going to add it into shared. And look, it's giving me the option of adding a collection or a collection folder. So I could create a new collection folder to help keep my collections organized, but I don't have that many. So I'm just going to say a new demo collection. and I'm going to create that, right? So there's my new demo collection, and if I go to my new demo collection, there's nothing in it, right? But now if I take a photo or take anything, and so I've got this picture that's on my desktop, and I'm just going to drag it into here, right? And look, it's bringing me to the place where I can update metadata. Creator is required. I have to fill it out. It will not let me upload unless I've clicked in Creator. So I'm going to type in a no byline, okay, for this one, just so I can type something in there. And now I'm going to click Add. And so, oh, wrong button. I'm sorry. I need to click Send. My mistake. So I'm going to click Send, and two things are happening. One, it's uploading the contents to Merlin, and two, it's automatically adding it to this collection. So those are all things that are happening in the background. And so if I go back and refresh the view of this collection, my content should be in there, and it seems that it hasn't arrived yet. But that's kind of the workflow. So you can create a collection and add to it automatically at the same time. All right. I'm going to go back and see if there's anything else. Is it possible to crop pictures? Not yet, Jan. I know you want to see a lot of those things that you're already using, and it's not in here. And is there a list view? Not right now. Right now, the three views are the three that I've shown you: the mosaic view, the more traditional view here. Sorry, the kind of the square mosaic view, the grid view, and then the other view that I showed you. So let me go back and go home and get some content back on the screen. There we go. So these are the three views. Don't have a list view yet. Okay. Any sharing functions at this time, like email, contact sheets, share link to collections? Again, not yet. And that's the feedback that we want to get from the original testers, the first two test groups. It's like, what should we be adding next? And, you know, does it need to be the sharing function next? And which sharing function should be next, because I'm not sure that we'll get all of it in the next sprint, but that is something that we want to know from you. What should be the next functionality that we add in? So as a review, this UI, it's designed right now, the first iteration of it that's going to go to our test users. It's going to work on mobile, and the functionality will be exactly the same on mobile, so your phones and your tablets, as it is in this on my desktop UI that I'm showing you. It's all going to be exactly the same. You can upload, you can download, you can add to collections, you can edit metadata. You can one at a time, you can batch edit metadata, you can add to collections, and so that's the initial functionality that's going to be in there, and the functionality that comes next is going to come from you. Dario, no, can we double click the picture? No, because again, it's supposed to be touch enabled, and double clicking is something that doesn't work on a mobile device, and so that's why we've given you the button here to go to the single view, because you can touch it and it will take you to single view. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Let's see, are you able to drag and drop content that has already been uploaded to the system into a collection at this time? Oh, I see. So you've got something that's in here and you want to add it to a collection. It's not drag and drop. So if I wanted to add multiple items to a collection, it's not drag and drop. I would highlight them, and my add to collection tool appears here, and I would be able to say I want to add these to whatever collection I've got highlighted. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to add it to my Camargue. Well, I add it to Camargue Horses for right now. So I've added these 4 items to the Camargue Horses UI. So it's not drag and drop. It's the progressive reveal. And again, if I close my dialog up here, everything becomes deselected because now it doesn't apply. So again, to add to a collection, I can click multiple non-contiguous items, or if I'm on a tablet or my phone, it's a simple touch and it will select them, and then I would be able to go into my collections and I would be able to choose the collection I want them to go to, or I can create a new collection. Okay, and then once I've created that collection, I would be able to add the content to that new collection like I've just done. All right. Mobile browsers, let's see. Oh yes, mobile browsers, and that's the issue, when you double click on a mobile browser, someone pointed this out to me, thank you, it zooms in, right? So the double click or double tap is reserved for something specific. Is there a select all tool? Not at this time. So, but great questions, and we've made a note of all of these, and so your comments, I will pass these along, and they'll be discussed with our development group as we also hear from our test users to figure out what's going to be in the next sprint of this. So thanks. Is this working together with tracks? Nope, not right now, Jan. No plans to do tracks. We can talk about that. Select all. Oh, wait, there is a select all checkbox. I'm sorry, and I totally missed it. I should have known that. It's this guy right here. Sorry. The UI is still so new, even I miss a few things. And there's my select all, and then I would assume it's a toggle, and it will deselect everything as well. In this case, it's all 2,389 items, which I probably don't want to have all those selected. Actually, Xing it closed will deselect them. So I missed something. Thanks for pointing that out. And now that's our 30 minutes. We'll take more questions if you got them. I do appreciate your questions. We're going to take these back to our development group and have a conversation about the things that you're looking for. Clearly, what you've asked me are some of the things that you're looking for, and we will be listening to that. So thanks, everybody. Happy to do the demonstration for you. Let me know if there's something you'd like to talk about next month. As always, we want to show you the things that you want to know about. And we'll probably come back to the Merlin MX Basic UI as we roll out new functionality, and we'll probably do periodic chats and videos and things like that to let you know what we're working on and what's coming next. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you next month. Bye-bye.